16. I'm getting good at C. When I arrive at hiking, I practically sprint to the top of the hill. After I check in with the officer, I hurry to my spot next to Kai before he can say anything. I pick up a stick and draw a C right there in the mud next to him. What's next? I ask, and he laughs a little. You know you don't need me. You could teach yourself, he says. You could look at the letters on your scribe or your reader. They're not the same, I tell him. They don't connect like yours do. I've seen your kind of writing before, but I don't know what it's called. What is it?
Cursive.
Cursive, the kind that connects, right? Cursive, he says softly. It's harder to read, but it's beautiful. It's one of the old ways of writing. That's what I want to learn. I don't want to copy the blocky, flat symbols of the letters we use now. I like the curves and sweeps of the one Kai knows. Kai glances over at the officer, who stares fiercely into the trees as though daring someone else to fall and get hurt today. We don't have long before the others arrive. What's next? I ask again. A, says Kai, showing me how to make a small letter A, embraced by a little swoop at the beginning and at the end, to attach it to whatever comes before and after. Because it's the next letter in your name. He reaches and takes hold of the stick above my hand. Up, around, down. Guiding, gentle. His hand presses against mine on the downward strokes, releases a little on the upward ones. I bite my lip in concentration. Or maybe it's that I don't dare to breathe until the A is finished, which it is, all too soon. The letter looks perfect. I exhale, a little shaky. I want to look up at him, but instead I look down at our hands, right next to each other. In this light, his don't look so red. They look brown, strong, purposeful. Someone is coming through the trees. We both let go at the same time. Livy bursts into the clearing. She's never been third before, and she's almost beside herself with excitement. When she chatters at the officer, Kai and I stand up and casually trample what we've written into oblivion. Why am I learning to write the letters in my name first? Because even if that's all you learn to write, you'll still have something, he says, bending his head down to look at me, making sure I know what he's saying, what he's about to ask. Was there anything else you wanted to learn to write instead? I nod, and his eyes brighten with understanding. The words from that paper, he whispers, his eyes moving toward Livy and the officer. Yes. Do you still remember them? I nod again. Tell me a little every day, he says, and I'll remember it for you. Then there will be two of us who know. Even though the time is short before Livy or the officer or someone else comes over to talk to us, I pause for a moment. If I tell Kai these words, I step into an even more dangerous place than I was before. It will put Kai in danger, and I will have to trust him. Can I do it? I look out at the view from the top of the hill. The sky does not have an answer for me. The dome of City Hall in the distance certainly doesn't. I remember thinking of the angels from the stories when I went to my match banquet. I don't see any angels, and they don't fly down on their cotton-soft wings to whisper in my ear. Can I trust this boy who writes in the earth? Someplace deep within me, is it my heart, or perhaps my soul, the mythical part of humans that the angels cared about, tells me that I can. I lean closer to Kai. Neither of us looks at the other. We both gaze straight ahead to make sure that no one will suspect anything if they glance our way. That's when I whisper the words to him. My heart so full it's about to burst because I'm saying them, really saying them out loud to another person. Do not go gentle into that good night. Rage, rage against the dying of the light. Kai closes his eyes. When he opens them again, he slips something rough and papery into my hands. Look at this for practice, Kai says. Destroy it when you're done. I can hardly wait for second school and sorting to end so that I can look at what Kai has given me. I wait until I'm at home in the kitchen, eating my dinner alone because my work hours were long tonight. I hear my father and Bram playing a game on the port in the foyer, and I feel safe enough to reach into my pocket and pull out Kai's gift. A napkin. My first reaction is disappointment. Why this? It's a normal napkin, the kind we get from the meal halls at second school or the Arboretum or anywhere else. brown and pulpy, smeared and used. I have the impulse to incinerate it right away. But when I open it up, there are words inside. Gorgeous words. Cursive words. They were beautiful up on the green hill with the sound of wind and trees, and they are beautiful here in my gray and blue kitchen with the grumbling of the incinerator in the background. Dark, curling, swirling words curve across the brown paper. Where dampnesses touch them, the words are slightly blurred. And it's not just words. He's drawn things, too. The surface is covered with lines and meaning. Not a picture, not a poem, not the lyrics to a song, although my sorting mind notices the pattern of all these things. But I can't classify them. This is nothing I have seen before. I realize that I don't even know what you would use to make marks like this. All of the words I practice are written in the air, traced in the dirt. There used to be tools for writing, but I don't know what they were. Even our paintbrushes in school were tethered to art screens, our pictures wiped away almost immediately after we finished them. Somehow, Kai must know a secret, older than grandfather and his mother and people before them. How to make, how to create. 2 lives, he's written. 2 lives, I whisper to myself. The words hush and hang in the room, too soft for the port to hear above the sounds in the house. Almost too soft for me to hear above my heart beating fast, faster than it ever has in the woods or on the tracker. What's a tracker again?
Treadmill.
Yep.
So weird that they call it.
I know. I should go to my room, to the relative privacy of that little place with my bed, my window, my closet where plain clothes hang, dead and still. But I can't stop staring. It's hard at first for me to figure out what the picture is meant to be. But then I realize it's him, Kai, drawn twice, once on each side of the fold of the napkin. The line of his jaw gives it away, the shape of his eyes, the spareness and strength of his body, the spaces left empty, his hands, and the nothing they hold, though they are cupped, tipped skyward in both pictures. That's where the similarity between the pictures ends. In the first picture, he looks up at something in the sky, and he looks younger. His face is open. The figure here seems to think that his hands might still be filled. In the second, he is older, his face narrower, and he looks down at the ground. Along the bottom he has written, which one is the true one? I don't ask. They don't tell. 2 lives. I think I understand this. His life before he came here, and his life after. But what does he mean by the line of a song or poetry or plea at the end? Kasia? My father calls from the doorway behind me. I scoop the napkin up with my foilware from dinner and take it all toward the incinerator and the recycling bin. Yes? Even if he sees it, it's just a napkin, I tell myself, looking at the brown square on my tray. We incinerate them after every meal, and it's even the right kind of paper, not like the one grandfather gave me. The incineration tube won't register the difference. Kai is keeping you safe. I lift my eyes to my father. It's a message for you, on the port, my father says. He doesn't look down at what I carry. He's focused on my face to see what I'm thinking. Maybe there is where the real danger lies. I smile, trying to look unconcerned. Is it M? I slide my foilware into the recycling bin. Only the napkin left. No, my father says. An official from the match department. Oh, just like that, I push the napkin down the incineration tube. I'll be right there, I say to my father. I feel the faintest hint of heat from the fire below as Kai's story burns, and I wonder if I ever will have the strength to hold on to something. Grandfather's poems, Kai's story, or will I always be someone who destroys? Kai told you to destroy it, I tell myself. The man who wrote the poem is gone, but Kai is not. We have to keep it that way. Keep him safe. I follow my father into the foyer. Bram glares at me on his way out of the foyer because this message has interrupted his game. Hoping to hide my nervousness, I give him a playful shove as I walk toward the port. The official on the screen is not one I've seen before. He's a cheerful, burly-looking man, not at all cerebral, aesthetic type I imagine hovering over data screens in the match department. Hello, Kasia, he says. The collar of his white uniform seems tight around his neck, and he has laugh lines near his eyes. Hello. I want to look down to see if my hands are stained from the drawings, the words, but I keep my eyes on the official. It's been over a month since your match. Yes, sir. Other matchees are arranging their first port-to-port communications now. I've spent the day putting those together for your peers. Of course, it would be rather ludicrous for you and Xander to have a formal port-to-port communication. The official laughs cheerfully. Don't you think? I agree, sir. The other officials on the matching committee and I decided it makes the most sense for the two of you to have an outing together instead, supervised, of course, by an official, as are communications for other matchees. Of course. Out of the corner of my eye, I see my father standing in the door of his room, watching me, watching over me. I'm glad he's there. Even though the idea of spending time with Xander isn't at all new or scary, the idea of an official at our meeting feels a little strange. I hope it isn't the official from the green space, I think suddenly. Excellent. You'll be eating outside of your home tomorrow night. Xander and the official assigned to your match will pick you up at your regular mealtime. I'll be ready. The official signs off and the port beeps, indicating that we have another call waiting. We're popular this evening, I say to my father, glad of the distraction so that we don't have to talk about my outing with Xander. My father already looks hopeful and hurries to stand next to me. It is my mother. Kasia, can I speak with your father alone for a few minutes? She asks after we exchange hellos. I don't have much time to talk tonight, and I have some things I need to tell him. She looks tired, and she still wears her uniform and insignia from work. Of course, I say. A knock sounds at the door, and I go answer it. It's Xander. We still have a few minutes before curfew, he says. Do you want to come talk on the steps with me? Of course. I close the door behind me and go outside. The porch light shines bright above us, and we are in full view of the world, or at least the world of Maple Tree Borough, as we sit down on the cement steps side by side. It feels good to be with Xander, in a different way than it feels good to be with Kai. Still, being with Kai, being with Xander, both things feel like standing in the light, different types of light, but neither feels dark. Sounds like the two of us will have an outing tomorrow night, Xander says. The three of us, I say, and when he looks puzzled, I add, don't forget the official? Xander groans. Right, how could I forget? I wish we could go alone. Me too. Neither of us says anything for a moment. The wind sails along our street, ruffling the leaves on the maple trees. In the evening light, the leaves look silver gray. Their colors are gone, sucked away for now by the night. I think of the night I sat with grandfather and thought the same thing. I think of the old disease of color blindness, eliminated generations ago, and how the world might have looked to those people. Do you ever daydream? Xander asks me. All the time. Did you ever daydream about your match? Before the banquet, I mean? Sometimes, I say. I stop watching the play of the wind on the leaves of the maple tree and glance at Xander. I should have looked at Xander before I answered. It's too late now. Now I can tell by his eyes that my answer wasn't what he had hoped, that by saying what I did I closed the door instead of opening it. Perhaps Xander dreamed about me and wanted to know if I dreamed about him. Perhaps he has moments of uncertainty as I do, and needs me to tell him that I feel sure about the match. This is the problem with being an uncommon match. We know each other too well. We feel the uncertainties in our touch, see them in each other's eyes. We don't work them out on our own, miles away from each other the way the other matches do. They don't see the day-to-day. We do. Still, we are a match, and a deep understanding runs through us even in the midst of a misunderstanding. Xander reaches for my hand, and I lace my fingers through his. This is the known. This is the good. When I think about sitting on a porch with him on other nights in this life we've been given, I can picture it easily and happily. I want Xander to kiss me again. It's late evening, and there's even a new rose smell in the air, the way there was for our first kiss. I want him to kiss me again so that I know what I feel for him is real, if it's more or less real than Kai's hand brushing mine on the top of the little hill. Down the street, the last air train from the city sighs into the station. A few moments later, we see the figures of late workers hurrying down the sidewalks to get back to their houses by curfew. Xander stands up. I'd better get back. See you tomorrow at school. See you tomorrow, I say. He squeezes my hand and joins the others on the sidewalk walking home.